Yo, what's going on? It's your boy Lionel, class of 2009, back with another episode of PV versus everybody. And listen, if you're not a part of the movement, you need to get a part of the movement. Okay, listen, we need to put pressure on Doc. We need to put some pressure on the AD. Listen. Play swing before kickoff. All right, that's the movement we on right now. You know what I'm saying? Play swing before kickoff. All right. So I'm super excited about the guest that we have on this evening. I know you have been seeing. I know you've been seeing who's been joining the gang recently. And I know it's been creating a buzz. There's been excitement all throughout PV Nation as they see what has been coming in to the D line room. And so I'm super excited today to say, man, we got the catalyst today, you know what I'm saying, of the Trench Mob, Coach Jonas Jackson. And so we're super excited for the interview this evening. Before we bring them up, we just want to remind each and every one of you, if you're not following us over on Instagram and on X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it, right? Make sure you're following us there, PV_versus_ everybody. Obviously, go ahead and like and subscribe to the channel. If you're not subscribed as yet, go ahead and give us a subscribe to the channel. The goal is to get to 500 subs before the fall season began. We make some great progress. We almost there toward our goal, right? And so we're super excited about that and want to bring you guys along on the journey with us. And last but not least, listen, if you didn't get your shirts, listen, hey, I'm sorry. You missed out. All right, you missed out. All right, they're gone. It's done. But listen, it's still why not PV. Obviously, we headed to the top. You know what I'm saying? We're making big claims, got some big goals this year. You know what I mean? And so for those who got them already, listen, they're in the works. They're coming very, very soon. And last but not least, obviously, the athletic department has released a strategic survey, right? Strategic plan survey that they're inviting every single one to go ahead and fill out. Very, very good survey that they put together just to get your thoughts, just to really pick PV Nation's brain, student athletes, alum, right? Everybody, right? Former athletes, etc. Just picking everyone's brain to really be able to put together a full strategic plan for the athletic department that really addresses the issues that all of us have, you know, and the things that we want to see implemented moving forward. And so, again, this is your opportunity to let your voice be heard. And so make sure you go ahead, hit up any of the athletic pages. They've been posted all over so you can fill out that strategic survey. You're definitely going to need to sit down. It's going to take you a few minutes to really think and contemplate and work through it. But it will be invaluable information for the athletic department as a whole. So make sure you go ahead and fill that out. And so without further ado, with that being said, yes, Jimmy, listen, we on that play swing before kickoff vibe. All right. You know what I'm saying? That's the vibe we on right now. Play swing before kickoff. Shouts out to Jess, you know what I'm saying, for getting that going. But I want to bring up none other than Coach Jonas Jackson. What's going on, man? How you doing?
What up, Al? What's good, man? I'm good, baby.
You good, man? Hey, listen, you got the nation buzzing right now. You know what I'm saying? You know, even just recently, I know over on Twitter, for those who aren't following Coach Jackson on Twitter, you know, dropped the graphic, Trench Mob graphic, right? You know, about some of the current, you know, athletes that we have that are going to be continuing this fall, and some of the newbies that we got coming in. And so, again, people are super excited about what they're seeing, just building all around. I mean, just all around the football team in general, right? You know what I mean? That's just a buzz right now, you know what I mean, all around PV Nation. And so we're excited to have you on, man. Just talk a little bit about that. But before we get into Trench Mob, you know what I'm saying? Before we really talk about the Trench Mob, I just want to talk to you just a little bit, right? Because I know that you're not new to the coaching profession, right? You're someone who's been literally literally almost all over, right? You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? And so just talk a little bit about, man, just, tell us a little bit about that experience of coming through, coaching in West Virginia, coaching at Delaware State, Albany State, etc. And maybe who has been, some of your influences as far as your coaching career, so far.
Yeah, sure, man. Man, I think it's going on 23 years now coaching. I started off in the junior college ranks at a school that I played at, Arizona Western. Then I had an opportunity to go overseas to Europe and coach in the European League. Came back and GA'd at Temple. Bobby Wallace's last year, going into Al Golden's first year. So you're talking on that Bobby Wallace staff, some real influential coaches that I had, like Nick Rapone, who's the DB coach right now with the Tampa Bay Bucks. Ray Monaco, who's a head coach in that Pennsylvania League, D2 League right now. Phil Zacharias, Spencer Prescott, and then on that Al Golden staff, you had Al Golden himself, and then guys like Matt Rule and Ryan Day as well was on that staff. So early on, had some really good coaches to learn from. From there, went on to be a coordinator at LaSalle, right up the street in Philadelphia before they dropped football. Then had an opportunity to go work under Denver Johnson down at Illinois State. Denver Johnson is one of the winningest coaches in the Murray State football program. From there, I went to West Virginia Wesleyan, actually. Worked under Denny Freehan, who was a Hall of Fame coach in like three different leagues. He's an old wing tee guy. But during that time,
get the job done.
Yeah, absolutely. But during that time, coming through that program, we had Gary Goff, who's the head coach over at McNeese. His offensive coordinator played for us at Wesleyan, got through for almost 10,000 yards in 2 years. He was so good in my second year at Wesleyan, Joe Montana ended up sending his son to play for us.
Wow. 2 years. 10K in 2 years?
Yeah, he damn near threw for 10,000 yards in 2 years. Adam Neugebauer, go look him up. Just got in the Hall of Fame there. So from West Virginia Wesleyan, had a chance to be a head coach there. And then ended up going down to Savannah. That was my first time in HBCU.
Yeah.
Coached at Savannah State for about 5 years, went through a transition there. Left to go coach in a pro league called Your Call Football for 2 seasons, which literally was Madden in real life. Literally. So from there, we ended up going over to Albany State, over in Albany, Georgia. That's that Southwest Georgia football, that Peach County football, really good football. And then over to Delaware State, back in the MEAC, and then had an opportunity to come here to PV, man. And I'm so glad, so grateful of being here.
Man, excited. We're excited to have you. It's so interesting, right? And reading up and seeing about that, the 2 years in the Your Call League, right? Like, what was that pitch, during the time when they say, hey, man, come coach in this league? And what was it about it that was enticing for you to say, man, this is an opportunity I want to take advantage of?
Yeah, well, I went to high school with a guy by the name of Colin Vataha. Him and his dad are two of the biggest investment bankers in the country. And what they do is they help people start new franchises, new leagues.
Gotcha.
So, they were part of the group that put together the funding for Magic Johnson and them to buy the Dodgers, and the guy who bought the team down in Jacksonville, and just they started Major League Soccer here in the States. So he presented me with an opportunity. And when a guy like that calls,
you already name drop a couple. It's just like, okay,
yeah.
Makes sense.
But when it was an honor to be on that staff. You're talking about Ray Sherman, who was a coordinator in the NFL, and Mike Sherman, who was a head coach in the NFL, and Bob Slowick, who coached a long time in the NFL. His son is the DC over right now with the team here in Houston. Kurt Schottenheimer. There's 250 years of coaching,
Right.
NFL coaching experience on that staff, and I had none. So just being a sponge
Yeah.
and a fly on the wall. I had opportunity to meet Chris Dishman, which is, one of the main reasons that gave me an opportunity to come here. So, just you never know who you're going to be in the room with, what kind of opportunities you're going to have. You just try to treat people the right way, be who you are, be genuine and passionate about this thing, and the sky's kind of like the limit.
Wow, that's dope. And it really just shows that the vital connections it is, and just in the coaching ranks in general, right? As you kind of just talk about some of these connections, people always talk about, the coaching tree of this individual, that individual, right? But you just see how there's so many just cross connections, right? And it's so important, just like in life in general, just to continue to build connections, right? And be a genuine person, right? Because opportunities can come from literally anywhere, right? At any time. And so that's really dope, man. Were you a guy who were aware of the HBCUs before you got that call to Savannah State? Like, how did that come to be? And then also, when you got the call, right, about being at PV, right, what was it about PV that said, okay, this is the right move for you at this specific time in your coaching career?
Yeah. So originally I'm from Boston, Massachusetts, right?
Okay.
Ain't no
Yeah, up north.
HBCUs up there.
Yeah.
Ain't no HBCUs up there. You're lucky if you heard of Howard.
Yeah.
And I guess through my football playing experience, just early on, no, it just wasn't a part of our culture as far as like when you're in Georgia and you're in that culture,
Yeah.
or you're here in Texas or in the South and you're in that culture, is totally different than living in the North. We don't know. So early on, really wasn't aware. Now, as you're going through coaching, you hear this, you hear that, and it kind of is what it is. But when I got the call about coming to Prairie View, it was really about Bubba McDowell. About Coach McDowell and how just the type of person that he was, being a family man and a God-fearing man, and a man that you can trust. Just having an opportunity to talk about the possibilities with someone who was close to him, and then just like-minded, like-hearted people being around him. Opportunity to be around that kind of guy, especially being on the ground floor, was just something I didn't want to pass up. And then it didn't hurt that we got nice facilities and all, some bells and some whistles. So
yeah. So little bells and whistles come with it too. You know what I mean?
yeah,
That's a nice part of the cake we can put on top. Some nice icing right there. Yeah. So man, you talk about 20 plus years of coaching. That's a long time, right? I know there's things that you have gathered throughout your coaching career. What are some things that you say, man, these are some things that I had to evolve over time? Because even just if you think about 20 years, you're talking about, a completely different type of kid, right? Completely different type of college student 20 years ago versus even now, right? Obviously there's so many different eras, you know what I mean? So it's not like right or wrong or something, but it's just different people, right? You got a whole different era of generations. What are some things that you see like, man, I had to evolve, in this area of in my coaching style, etc., based on how, these student athletes are able to really, soak in information versus, here before. And obviously you've coached, not just college, right? You coached, all type of professional as well. So kind of just talk about a little bit how you've seen, your coaching style evolve over time.
Yeah, absolutely. When I started off, if you asked me what kind of defensive line coach, if I had a defensive line philosophy coming in, I would say I was gap control guy, right? We're gonna control our gap. We're gonna win our gap, right? All about that. And then as I got into that Illinois State family with, that's tier link, that's pass rush, pin your ears back, go get it. And then, have an opportunity to work with some of the pro guys where they're pass first. And then, hey, how do we kind of put both together? And how do we just really create over time, you just ended up really kind of creating a tool bag for the player that you want to give them. And now, you're just kind of able to, yes, we're going to have a standard way of how we're doing things, but at the same time, maybe I got to give this guy focus on a little bit of different technique here, or maybe this guy can key something a little bit differently than the next guy, or maybe this guy got to play with this hand down or that hand down. Just being able to, like, not always in your mind, as a coach in your mind, how you want it to look. And when it doesn't look like that, now is, you're kind of nitpicking, which, hey, that's the business we're in, right?
Right.
But at the same time, just being able now to kind of like let the player just kind of go, so they don't have to think as much, and let him make the position his. If it don't look like how I want it to look, as long as he's winning, maybe I just got to warm up to this dude's style a little bit. And we have that, right? But just being a little more open, but still, I think the main thing is, throughout the years, kids really kind of want the same thing as they've always wanted. They want you to be honest with them. They want to know where they stand.
Yeah.
They want to be able to trust you.
That's good.
Not only on the field, but they want to be able to walk into the room and tell you something in confidence that you're going to give them something that's real and not something that's from the playbook.
I love hearing that, and just in having conversations. Obviously, we was able to talk with Coach Green early in the year, able to talk to Coach Whedon, right? And it sounds like we're hearing that same similar thought process of what's coming out, the coaching room, right? And so that's awesome to hear. Talking about the honesty, talking about being real with the players, right? Talking about the conversation of being able to be something that when they come in the room, they know that they can trust what they're hearing coming back across and how important that is, right? And sometimes we don't think about, we forget that, it's not just about what happens on the field, right? These are individuals who are going to graduate, who are going to go into life, right? And even what's being modeled in front of them is super important, as the coaches that are in the room to show, hey man, this is how you be honest, right? As a man, right? So we got to have those tough conversations, etc. So I mean, in general, I just love, you and what you're talking about right now. And also just what's coming out the coach room in general. Obviously you spoke highly about Coach Bubba before, right? And so I think that gives just PV Nation confidence to know, man, that, we have individuals here who are preparing our student athletes, not just for this fall, right? But they're preparing them for falls even beyond, what's coming up right now. And that's we're super gracious, to have that. And, you talked about being kind of a little bit more open, right? Kind of really filling out each and every player, right? Because individually the way they're coming, the package that they're in might be a little bit different, even though you want it to look a certain way. How do you balance that, for example, that discipline versus aggression, right? You talk about, pinning your ears back, getting after quarterback versus being sound in your integrity, right? For your gaps. How do you kind of balance that? Because, throughout the year, for one thing that I definitely was appreciative of seeing is like, man, listen, I could see that the line was gelling and getting better throughout the year. I mean? The defensive line of how they were coming together. So, talk a little bit about that. What's your philosophy in terms of just making, just kind of keeping that balance, like you say you learned throughout the years?
Yeah, I think first and foremost, it's building the culture in the room, and making sure that that is what it needs to be. And it's been a journey. It's been a journey to get to where we think that the culture in the room is what we'd like for it to be. Certainly, we can be better, but I think that's the first thing. And then just before you even bring the kid into the program, we really talk about it being a partnership. It's got to be a partnership. It's not all about the player. It's not all about the coach. Um, but together we got to figure out a way to get it to go. And then I think it's creating a high level of competition in the room at the same time while you're trying to help build football IQ. And then it's so multifaceted of an answer, but at the end of the day, you're even in your scheme, you're just trying to pare things down so that they can learn it in whatever kind of matrix or whatever kind of, however you got to clump it together so that they can. So now I know when I can turn it loose because I might not be getting sent to a gap. We might not be running a twist. Okay, we're blitzing an adjacent gap, or we're gonna hit it. Just taking opportunities, trying to really find opportunities within the scheme, where they can just go. And so now you got to know. It's not okay to come out here and not know your stuff. Right. But ultimately, these guys want reps. And when you have a room where you have a high level of competition, at the end of the day, ain't enough reps, dog. Ain't enough reps. So you're either gonna come out here and take full advantage of the reps that you got, or you're gonna probably not get as many. So it's a multifaceted answer, but it's just a work in progress, man. And you got to come right every day. You got to come right every day until you figure out a way how to reach that player. No matter how long it takes. And we were just really lucky last year to although it was a journey, we were really lucky to kind of start gelling at the right point in the season.
Oh man, yeah, and it's awesome when you gel. And talking about that competition in the room, right? It's interesting to see that room is competitive, has continued to keep competition, even add competition now, right? But at the same time, continue to stay together, right, and move forward and say, hey, we're gonna move forward as a unit. You put a post out about that, right? I believe like either December or January, right? Talking about, hey, this is the second semester in a row we haven't had anybody leave from the D-line room. Obviously, we know Derek Ray Jr., which, my guy, I always say, like, my guy got robbed because I feel like his numbers was not right. You feel me? You know what I'm saying? But that's a whole nother conversation. You know what I'm saying? But outside of him, right, who's obviously he's played his time, you have no other guys who left out that room. And you're also now adding guys who are looking to come in and add to that unit too at the same time. How have you been able to keep that continuity, right, like that in that room? Because this is something that is really very, very rare, especially now in the time of the transfer portal, right? You know what I mean? What is it about that competition at the same time, right? People being honest, etc. What is it that has kept those young men to say, hey, man, I'm going to stay true to what Coach Jackson, Coach Marlin are doing here, with the D-line, because even if I haven't been able to get as many reps maybe as I want, right, I still believe in I believe in the program, I believe in Coach Bubba and what's going on. Like, what is it that has been able to keep that continuity? Because that's super important when you talk about ending the year strong. Now you got that same unit together that you can start the year with, right?
Yeah. I think it helps when you graduate T. Roy and Pun and Kevin Victorian.
Yeah.
And then, which the last time we lost a guy in the room to the portal was Jesse Evans, right? Well, those are 4 starters from a team that was a game out of the deal, right?
Yeah.
So I think it helps when you can say to the guys, hey, Jamal Marshall wasn't a starter a year ago.
That's true.
Derek Ray wasn't a starter a year ago.
Yeah.
But look at the spring that they had.
Right.
And we had just been together for only a handful of months. And so the proof was in the pudding at that point in time. So now we can sit down as we're pointing these things out. Hey, I wasn't using Jamal as his film as an example a year ago. You know, now we're talking about, hey, Jamal and Derek having really good springs. Hey, you know, you other guys, the proof is in the pudding.
Right.
So if there's no reason why you guys, if you're dedicated and doing what you need to do, why you shouldn't have the development as well. And so I think when guys start seeing that they are improving, no matter how hard it gets or where they're at on the depth chart, they can really see themselves improving. They know where they stand. They know you're going to be honest with them, and guys have done it before them. And
Yeah.
so, you know, they just gotta open their, and I think open their eyes, and that's what they did. And I think they love each other.
Yeah.
I think we, you know, I know that we love each other. We had some hard evaluations after the fall on some guys. We didn't have to have nobody in the portal. We could put some guys in the portal. And after the fall, you know, there were some conversations, some evaluations, and then you know what? Everybody's back because those guys did what they needed to do, and I'm so proud of them. And again, definitely shout out to Coach Watson, because we work really well together. You know, we're the same guy.
Yeah.
His office is down the hall, mine is over here, but ain't gonna be no confusion. There's not gonna be no mixed messages.
That's good.
You know, we're one. So yeah.
No, that's big, man. And you know, like you say, you talked about it earlier, right? Being able to have guys in the room that, you know, there's a care for one another across the board too. Obviously, that's super important too. And you see, right, the team. I mean, the team looks like a team, right? Not just, you know, on the field, right, but offline, right, when they're enjoying themselves around campus, etc. And that's big. That's a big thing there too. So you mentioned Jamal Marshall, obviously. You know, he's a guy that's been in the program for years, right? Has continued to work, right? Coming in, you know, freshman year, continue to build and get to the point now where last year, obviously, you know, he jumps off your screen as far as a guy that really was able to put up numbers and be a stronghold in the middle of that line. Who are some of the other returners that you look at and say, hey man, you're looking to have a good year, but also look to again increase on what they've done last year, you know, to this year now?
Yeah, sure. So you know, a guy like Stephen Shaw, who's coming back for another year. You know, we're looking for him to do some really good things for us. You know, you got Braylon Perry that's returning. Was a JUCO guy from Alabama. He's returning. Definitely expect him to continue to build in the role on the team, along with Jabez Oliphant and really all of them, man. You know, I'm expecting all these guys to do something to help us. You know, you got Jabez, you got Tiago Sumbo,
Yeah.
you know, and then you got a guy that came in at mid-year, and James Cate, who, you know, we feel really good about James Cate as well. So, you know, all these guys are going to have to do something to help us win.
Yeah.
That's just the bottom line. You know, hopefully somebody will step up and give us the production that Derek gave us. But I'm hopeful that, you know, you're going to have a group of guys that are going to be able to go and affect the game as a unit. And that's kind of what our expectation is going to be.
No, that's big, and I mean that's a great expect. Is there a specific, like, you know, do you guys have like specific expectations or goals that are set for the year, or how do you handle that? Is it something that you say, hey, for each player you come and you sit down with them and say, hey, this is what I'm looking for you from this year, etc. Or do you set a goal as a unit? How does that work in order to keep the guys motivated?
Yeah, so, you know, those evaluations were done after the spring, right? So, hey, you know, you're just getting to the point where right now that you're good enough to do last year's role. So if you want more, then there's got to be a little more development, or else it's pretty much last year's role coming in. Or, hey, man, you know, you're you know, a light bulb away from, you know, being the guy. Or, you know, hey man, you're gonna be a swing guy for us. You're gonna be a third down guy for us right now. Whatever the case may be, those meetings were had before they left campus, before finals
That's
and all
good.
that kind of stuff. Yeah. So coming in the next time, we'll have those conversations is when camp ends, right? It's going to be, okay, here's where we're at.
Right.
And in between, your guys, coach, why I'm running with the ones, why I'm running with the threes, why I'm running with, so you got to have those conversations throughout as well. But for the most part, the next time those conversations will be had will be when camp is over.
No, that makes sense. And I did have a question too, because I know you guys are obviously always on a recruiting trail looking to bring guys in. Some of the names that pop off recently, right, with some of the transfers that came in. Obviously, I know Hunter, you had Jefford to come over from Idaho State. When you talk about having guys come in right after the spring, how do you kind of mix in these guys and kind of the talents, the skill sets that they're bringing with what you already have built, right? Because it seems like that can be an interesting kind of dilemma as well, right? Even though you welcome these talents, you say, man, you got these guys that you've been building this for specific roles. How is it that you guys come together, you and Coach Watson, and say, this is what we're going to be bringing this guy in to look to have him to add to this unit as a whole?
I think once they get here, we just initially we have to keep making them understand that the depth chart don't matter. If you want to make the bus, you want to make the bus. that's the depth chart don't matter.
Make the bus. You feel me?
You want to make the bus.
I like it.
And if you're on the bus, you want to be a guy who, when I'm looking to put that next group together, you want to be a guy that I'm not looking past. But the depth chart doesn't matter, man. You want to get on the bus, and if you're in the rotation, it doesn't matter if you're a one starting the game, or if you're a one on third down, or if you're one on, the PV unit, whatever the case may be. If you're on the bus, we're going to need you to win the game.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, we can pretty much put a number on the reps. We're just trying to get to understand that there is a number to this thing, and you just gotta be competing at your highest level, for the maximum amount of those reps. But when it comes down to whether you're a 1, a 2, or a 3, at the end of the season, when you calculate it up, they all pretty much gonna have the same amount of reps. What did you do with them?
Right.
What did you do with them? So that's what we're where we try to get to. So they're not really worried about the depth chart, but they still are though.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, right? You know what I'm saying? It's something that's always going to always be on people's mind. But like you say, I mean, what you do with your reps, I mean, obviously you guys are paying attention and seeing like, hey, man, every rep I give you, right, I'm seeing production, high value production. Then obviously there'll be another conversation that's going to come because you say, I need you to be on the field a little bit more based on what I'm seeing you doing with the reps that I'm giving you, right? But what I love though at the end of the day is the honesty, right? You know what I'm saying? Because I think that's super important. Not having guys come and say, "Hey, I'm selling them wolf tickets," which I think sometimes happens, right, all throughout. At the end of the day, it just is what it is, right? Guys are being, especially we talk about guys that are even going from FCS level to FBS level, right? A lot of times conversations are happening, and then we're finding out that it's not what I thought it was going to be, right? And so I'm just loving the fact that, you're willing to be honest, with the student athletes and let them know like, hey, this is what it is. And I'm also excited that, the team is not running from competition, right? You know what I mean? Because I think at the end of the day, all it's going to do is make all of us better. You know what I mean? Every single one of us better. And we talk about before that it's not just about what's on the field, it's about life too as well, right? You know what I mean? And so, not only do we walk in competition on the field here in college, but in life there's going to be competition, and you got to learn now, right, how to embrace that, right? Because that's the only thing that's going to do is just make you better. Man, I'm super excited, man, about the Trench Mob, man. Where do you get the name from as well? Like, where did that come from? I mean, is that something that you created a long time ago? Where did it come from?
That's them boys, man. That's what they break it down on. That's them boys. So we're gonna put it out there to the people.
Oh, I like it. Listen,
I thought the death row was the hardest thing I ever heard, though. That death row.
Yeah,
That
that
Death
Death Row
Row
deep.
was, them boys was different.
Yeah,
Them boys was different.
that
But
Death Row is nice too,
we're
though.
on that trench mob.
Okay, so they say they want to go with that trench mob. Hey, listen, we behind you though, right? So we with the trench mob, we got the boom squad, right? You know what I'm saying? So we working it, So however they want to get down, as long as it make them excited and get rolling, then obviously that's what's important, man. Coach Jackson, man, anything else, any other words that you got for PV Nation, just in general? We always ask every time we got somebody come on the show. I got my check here, right? So I don't know if you've seen the show before, right? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But listen, everybody that come on the show is upside down right now. We asked, man, what's the big check you're writing? So for you and your D line unit, man, what's the big check that you're writing for this year? You know what I mean? 2024 fall season.
Yeah, I just I just want to let everybody know that we understand the assignment. We understand what the assignment is. Ain't gonna be no lack of effort, no lack of none of that. We understand what the assignment is. We know it's gonna be a battle, and we know y'all gonna be right there to support us every step of the way.
Oh man, listen, I'm gonna be there to support you every step of the way. You know what I'm saying? You know how I do. I think PB Nation's with me, they're gonna be behind you. You know what I'm saying? So if y'all don't know what the assignment is, I know what the assignment is, you know what I'm saying? So he being nice. I ain't gonna be so nice. You feel me? I'm let you know what the assignment is, let everybody else know what the assignment is too. All right. We writing big checks this year, you know what I mean? And so but we at the end of the day, right, it's just about going out, getting the job done one step at a time. But like you say, PV Nation, we do our job by getting behind them, you know what I mean, by supporting. You already know how to do that, right? You know what I'm saying? Y'all know what to do. Y'all gotta get y'all season tickets. All right. You know what I mean? Y'all can catch us in section 107. Go and grab your season tickets. Obviously, y'all see the home slate, y'all see the home schedule. You know what I mean? You get to see Coach Jackson, you know what I'm saying, live and in person. You feel me? You know what I mean? So but yeah, man. So I appreciate you so much, man, for jumping on and for coming and just sharing with us. Cause like I say, I know PV Nation has been excited about the trench mob, you know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
Excited
Yes,
about
sir.
some of the guys you see coming in. And listen, to my guy Chester, I don't know if you even gonna see this, but I know Coach Jack gonna see it. He just got the look, you know what I mean? It's just the look, you know what I mean? We trench mob, he looked like trench mob, all right, you know, so he ready to
Yeah.
go. You feel me?
Yeah.
So but to all the guys, man, we're super excited about having you come back out and super excited to see, some of the guys who've been, building for the last couple of years, who's going to pop up. It's always awesome and exciting to see guys who've been a part of the program, for years, right? 2-3 years, to see how they step up, right, and their improvement, right, with their body and with their reps to where, man, they really start to pop off the screen. Those are the guys that really excite me the most, right? You know what I mean? And so I'm really excited about, like you mentioned, Jamal Marshall already, right? And even some guys from other rooms, right, who've been here for years and stayed down with the program and continue to develop. So I'm really excited about the guys we brought in, but I'm always excited about the guys we already had in that room and seeing them develop over time. So again, man, Coach Jackson, we appreciate you. Any last words you got for PV Nation?
Man, I'm good, man. Hey, come out to support us, baby. We love y'all. Let's get it.
Hey, let's go. Let's get it. We know the assignment. You know what I'm saying? We know. All right, man. But until later, man, we will holler at y'all. Y'all have a good evening.